You're watching Canadian Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. From Toronto, Ontario, I'm Catherine Bullock. Assalamu alaikum and greetings of peace. Today, a conversation with Tazeen Hasan, who is the campaign manager of the Free Shabir Shah campaign. He is known as the Nelson Mandela of Kashmir. First, some news headlines. Throne speech welcomes 44th Government of Canada. Head of World Uyghur Congress to meet with Canadian officials. Canada will likely miss refugee target goal for 2021. Vending machines are now giving machines in the US. One of the world's oldest universities unearthed in Turkey. Now the details. Justin Trudeau's Liberals begin their third term in Parliament with newly appointed Governor-General Mary Simon delivering her throne speech today. Simon's speech focused heavily on the pandemic recovery, with support structures announced for businesses that suffered heavily in the pandemic. The Liberals also plan to implement a program allowing for 10 days of paid sick leave for federally regulated workers. On this, NDP leader Jagmeet Singh said on Monday that he would be willing to cooperate with the Liberal minority government. Dolkun Issa, the head of the World Uyghur Congress, will be visiting Canada this week. Issa is scheduled to meet with the Minister of Immigration, Sean Fraser, and has requested a meeting with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Issa also expects Canada to take substantial action after they passed a motion declaring China's actions a genocide earlier this year. He wants to discuss blocking shipments containing products of forced labour, as only one shipment has been halted since 2020. Canada has also not acted on recommendations to create a stream to take in Uyghur refugees. Issa plans to ask Canadian officials to follow up on that recommendation. Canada will likely miss its target refugee intake goal for 2021 due to complications with the pandemic. Canada's goal was to take in 81,000 refugees by the end of the year. However, as of October, Canada only took in half the target number, as shown in records obtained from Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada by the CBC. Advocacy groups predict that there are around 70,000 people still on the refugee wait list to enter Canada. They also suggest improved communications between the federal government and refugees on application statuses to reduce anxiety. Giving machines will begin doling out donations of blankets, books, and basketballs, among other items, starting next week on Giving Tuesday, an effort launched and co-founded by the UN in 2012 to encourage global giving post-Thanksgiving. Giving machines are unique vending machines. When donors make a charitable donation with a credit card, the giving machine dispenses a postcard featuring an image and description of their donation. The event will feature speeches from representatives of UNICEF, UNHCR, and other charities. 10 cities have the machine. The first giving machine was opened in 2017 in Salt Lake City, Utah. Turkish archaeologists and scientists unearthed the remains of a university dating back to the 12th century and earlier in southeast Turkey. The structure is one of the world's oldest universities and was uncovered in the archaeological site of Haran district of Sanliurfa, which is on the UNESCO World Heritage Tentative List. During the 8 years of excavations, archaeologists found that the university was previously a science centre and housed history books and notes of voyages, all of which have been unearthed. Archaeologists working on the project predict that the university was once housing over 300 scientists and was active as early as 3000 BC. And now our conversation with Tazeen Hasan, who is Justice for All Canada's campaign manager for the Free Shabir Shah campaign. Shabir Shah is known as the Nelson Mandela of Kashmir. Welcome to the show, Sister Tazeen. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam, Sister Kathy. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for coming and telling us. Now, Justice for All has begun a campaign called the Free Shabir campaign. In this campaign, you're calling him the Nelson Mandela of Kashmir. Can you explain that?
Yeah. We know, the world know actually, world is fully aware of the Nelson Mandela, who served 27 years in jail just for struggling against the apartheid regime. And Shabir Shah, he has spent 34 years in Indian jail just for asking self-determination. There is an apartheid regime working in Kashmir too, but I won't extend the discussion. I will just compare their struggles. He's a prisoner of conscience. He spent 34 years in jail, non-consecutive 34 years. So we can, of course, and this, his struggle was for his people, like Nelson Mandela, Nelson Mandela of
So
South Africa.
Nelson Mandela is known as a world icon. I have to confess that until Justice for All began this campaign, I'd never heard of Shabir Shah. How do you explain why nobody knows about him?
This is Indian diplomacy, Indian media domination over the global media, Indian domination over the global media, that we don't know what is happening in Kashmir. Uh, we all see that United States recently, actually on 17th November, United States State's Department actually omitted India's name from the countries of particular concern, although USERF, the United States International Religious Freedom Department, they are recommending India to be included in countries of particular concerns in 3 years in a row. But State Department refuses to include India. So this is India's diplomatic domination over the world.
So what's his struggle for?
His struggle is for self-determination to the Kashmiri people. Basically, this is the birthright of Kashmiri people. United States Charter Article 1 states that self-determination is the right of indigenous communities. And he is struggling for self-determination and nothing else. He is struggling
So,
for
so for people who aren't
for the right. Yeah.
for people who aren't aware, what's happening with Kashmir? Like, why do they need self-determination? What's going on?
Kashmir is colonized by Indian government since about 1948. As soon as India get rid of British colonization, it became a colonizer, and Kashmiris are living under Indian colonizations. Over if I explain the context, basically the value of Kashmir, it is just 135 kilometer by 32 kilometers. It's a very small place, and India has placed more than 700,000 security forces there. They have deployed 700,000, over 500,000 security
So
forces inside Kashmir.
Shabir Shah has been part of a campaign for Kashmiri independence. Then is that what you're saying?
Of course, about entire Kashmiri leadership, Kashmiri leadership is struggling for the self-determination. Shabir Shah is one of the most important leaders. His importance can be judged from the fact that Indian intelligence former chief, Indian Intelligence Bureau former chief, and the RAW is also a very important Indian intelligence agency. A.S. Dulat, he wrote a book in 2015, Kashmir, the Vajpayee Years, because he was so much involved in the Kashmir issue. The Indian intelligence is so much involved in Kashmir issue. And he mentioned that we offered Shabir Shah the chief ministership of Kashmir.
Yeah, I was
Actually,
going to
prime
ask you that.
ministership.
I
Yeah.
was going to ask you that in the Justice for All, the US branch has mentioned that in their briefing notes, but he apparently said no. So if he wants to, lead his people, why would he say no to that kind of offer?
He was offered if the chief ministership in return. In return, if he leave his struggle for self determination.
I see. Okay.
India offers, Indian government, Indian intelligence offers it to the leaders who are willing to leave the notion of self determination.
Right. So it's kind of like be our puppet leader, but don't bring self independence to your people. So if he's been in jail for 34 years, why the campaign has just begun now in 2021?
Yeah, actually, in summer 2021, Shabir Shah's family actually contacted Imam Mujahid, our founder of the JFA, and she asked for support from North American organizations. So basically, in return, in response to her, in response to her appeal, we started this campaign, and this will extend. We started this Free Shabir Shah campaign, but recently, let me tell you that if in his current detention, he is serving fifth year of his pre-trial detention. Trial has not started in last 4 years. Recently, on 29th of October, Shabir Shah's family visited Delhi, New Delhi from Srinagar. Srinagar is the capital of Kashmir, actually, and New Delhi is the capital of India. They have kept Shabir Shah and many other Kashmiri leaders in Tihar jail, New Delhi. It's a very notorious jail. And basically,
I read that. I read
I
in
will
your.
take a little time to explain the context.
Just make it fast, okay?
Yeah. So basically, they visited Shabir Shah, and Shabir Shah, after about 2 years, Seher Shah and her mother visited Shabir Shah, and they were shocked. They were appalled to see that Shabir Shah can't walk on his own. He was already suffering from diabetes. He was already suffering from kidney disease, heart disease, arthritis, and now he can't walk on his own. So you can understand. Indian jails are classless jails.
So they're not giving him medical treatment. And what's the campaign asking for then?
Let me answer you first. The medical treatment, they are giving the medical treatment. There is when I got into the context, I came to know that there is a hospital in Tihar jail. So they are giving medical treatment, but family does not trust the medical treatment they are giving. I inquired a former detainee of the Tihar jail, and he told me that they just give paracetamol for every ailment. And then Shabir Shah informed the family in the last visit that they have advised 2 surgeries and possibly 1 biopsy to him.
So what's the campaign asking for? So what's the campaign asking for?
Campaign is asking for his release on bail, regardless of his legal case. Campaign is asking his release on bail because his pre-trial detention is too much prolonged. You know, according to the international standards, according to International Covenant of Civil and Political Rights, prolonged detentions are considered arbitrary detentions. Prolonged detentions, international standards say that the person on pre-trial custody should be released on bail. So the family wants his release on bail for medical treatment, for humanitarian grounds. They are just pleading that we want his operations to be done independently. We want to evaluate his medical documents independently. The jail authorities are not providing.
So what's the campaign asking of the governments? And is it a worldwide campaign or just a Canadian campaign?
No, it's not a Canadian campaign. We have contacted the Prime Minister Trudeau and the cabinet ministers here in Canada. We are running a campaign for the people of Canada to write letters to Prime Minister Trudeau. We sent letters to State Department. We sent letters to basically United Nations, especially the United Nations Working Group for Arbitrary Detention. And we are also contacting intellectuals throughout the world. Journalists, intellectuals, social media influencers, and others.
What kind of feedback have you got from the government? Are they willing to take up his case?
We just started our campaign, but Alhamdulillah, we got response from Prime Minister Trudeau's office. They have forwarded it to Foreign Minister. We just today morning we got response from the Defense Minister of Canada, Anita Indra. She also forwarded it to the Foreign Minister. We are trying to build an alliance of human rights organizations and send a joint signed letter to Prime Minister Trudeau that he intervene. He can, they basically can pressure, they can work with Indian government, they can work with United Nations government. And
so we have to wrap it up now. We have to wrap it up now, but just very briefly in like less than a minute, what do you want people to do who are not in government, like just us ordinary people?
We would like the people to spread the word through our social media campaign. We would like them to write letters to whoever is in authority. They can write letter to their MPs. We have this facility on our newsletter and our action alerts. They can write letter directly to the Prime Minister Trudeau. They can write letters to, and they can spread the word.
Okay. So thank you very much for joining us on the show. I know it's a lot of campaign, but unfortunately we're out of time. Thank you again for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Kathy. Thank you.
You've been watching Canadian Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Stay tuned for the next episode. Stay safe and God bless.